We have always been told the salt is actually bad for you, but do you know the salt actually heals? Stay tuned for the next episode of Senior Care Made Simple podcast.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Andrea Albertini, your host for Senior Care Made Simple podcast. And I, of course, have my lovely co-host, Doris Muscarella. Hello, Doris.
Hello, and happy to our listeners. Welcome to our Senior Care Made Simple podcast.
Well, we keep having some pretty exciting guests, and information is so important. The more we know, the better off we'll be. So today we have an amazing guest, Jamie Gonzalez. She is from the Salt Suite. And, sometimes you don't think about alternative medicine, Doris. I think a lot of us don't. And more now, there's so many different ways for us to get healthy, depending on what we're suffering with. And we're going to share that with you today. So let's welcome Jamie Gonzalez from the Salt Suite in Palm Beach. Hi, Jamie.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
So the interesting thing is, I know, Doris, you want to ask us, so just go ahead.
Well,
Give me the hard ones
today
first.
we're going holistic. I love this.
Yes,
We're really holistic today. But Jamie, you have a story, and I love stories. Can you tell us how you got involved in the Salt Suite?
I sure can. And lots of my clients know, I share it with people often. I was diagnosed, and I was a very busy, corporate sales, driving all over South Florida, 2 young kids. And I went to work one day and I couldn't remember what I was doing from one moment to the next. Long story short, after many doctor appointments, and actually it took a few years till I had another incident like that, where I was actually tripping over my foot. I was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. So that was in 2010. And I was laid off from my job, and I was doing yoga and I was doing all these healthy things. And it's like, what a strange time for that to strike, right? Because I felt relaxed and I had, money. So I wasn't hurting from, everything was great. Of course, you go to the doctors, and they did tons of tests and, diagnosed me with spinal fluid. So that's supposed to be a definitive diagnosis. You'll hear now, that it's so hard to get diagnosed sometimes. I tell my clients, careful what you ask for, because they will find something.
Right.
So, keep careful with the digging and, think about, how you're taking care of yourself. Because I was really stressed. I was running a lot, young kids, trying to be everything and do everything for people. And we know how that usually works out. And I say that to a lot of the caregivers who come in. The caregivers need our support just as much as the patients.
Absolutely.
Especially these family caregivers who are working and doing other things, and taking care of children and grandparents or, so the MS, was bad enough. They wanted me on medication. I did daily injectable Copaxone for a year. I even went on a trial that was a 3-day, which I think now Copaxone is delivered in a 3-day injection, 3 days a week. So, but then I destroyed my skin. So I had all these divots. I was I had 2 things in 4 years. How bad is it? And I started researching. I started reading. And before then, the only diet back then was the Swank diet. And I really did believe in food as my medicine. So how can I change? So I gave up meat. I went vegan, vegetarian. I mean, I probably did so many different versions of. But I didn't have another exacerbation even after I went off the medication. But of course, they're always telling you, you better, it can just come back. It can just come back. So I said, I'm just going to keep feeding my brain. And I got certified to teach yoga because it was like diving into spirit for me,
Right.
And I didn't have a very strong connection with God. So that to me was how can I find this other realm? I have the physical and the, emotional, but I didn't have that spiritual component. So, and I started really trying to have trust in myself. How do you feel? Where did this come from? And the fact is, it was difficult. It was I had a really stressful marriage. And so all those things I think compounded. So I went off the medication. I did the whole diet change. And then Salt Suite, a friend of a friend opened up a Salt Suite in Delray. I would go and just check it out. I'd breathe. And I felt so clear and light and relaxed. I'm like, this is like the magic I found in yoga. I found it in this salt room. I'm like, what is this? So every time I would go, and then they opened a second one in Lake Worth, a mom would tell me like, oh, my kid didn't have to have surgery. The doctor wanted to put tubes in their ears and remove their adenoids, but the salt shrinks the adenoids. Salt, absorbs liquid in the ears, or absorbs, bacteria and the liquid that's, that it's in. So I told the people, again, friend of a friend, I said, if you ever franchise, I would totally open one of these up in Gardens. How could this be bad? People need more of this, because here I was going through this doctor route. I mean, the medical tests and the time that I spent at UM going through all the testing, hours and hours of, to me, that was just as stressful as trying to get a diagnosis and then treatment. And then doctors didn't have anything for me, didn't have anything alternative. My doctor is a vegan. He's like, eat more vegetables, eat more beans. I'm like, okay, well. So I opened the Salt Suite in 2015. And that was, it was really part of my path of healing. I still had a corporate job, and I kept the corporate job for almost 3 more years because I was so afraid to lose the benefits. Frankly, that's, I kept doing the job as best as I could, have a staff, and try to do it both till I could transition. So we opened in 2015. I was the first franchise, but the third Salt Suite that opened. During COVID, we never closed. We were one of the only Salt Suites that didn't close. Most of them felt like, the government was saying you had to close.
Right.
My clients were calling Palm Beach Gardens City and saying, you can't close down Salt Suite, because if you do, I will be in the hospital. And people who are sick, with these breathing disorders, they're on steroids and, consistently, and antibiotics, trying to fight these bacteria. When they find that, the infections that come from when you have COPD and bronchitis, even, allergies, asthma, sinus infections, they found they were always on antibiotics and steroids. They were staying off of them by coming. So we were really blessed that we could stay open and then start rebuilding the business once it opened up.
I have been to your Salt Suite many times.
Okay.
And I have severe allergies. I have sinusitis. I have asthma. And I know what kind of relief that I had, but I never knew about all this other things. And I am just so excited to even hear more, especially when it comes to, not just young people, but the elderly as well. And I know that you get a lot of elderly, and that's amazing.
Yes, we do. And that's another thing I've seen a big shift with. We used to get a lot of people with COPD. Like, my Monday through Friday mornings, I'd have 2 sessions almost full of people with COPD. So what happened was I opened the Salt Suite, and we have the kids room. So I have lots of families that come in, kids with allergies, the asthma. The adults are, more sinus infections, allergies, also some asthma. And if you probably know that already, but asthma is linked to, it's the same on the DNA strand. It's the same DNA as the eczema and asthma share that. I guess DNA makes you have both or one or the other. So we get a lot of people with the double whammy of asthma and eczema. And salt can help all those things. Not to mention we have a great product line that's, people go to the Dead Sea, they get in the water, and they're like, all their issues go away.
Yeah.
And because it's so loaded with magnesium and other minerals.
Jamie, walk me through this. I'm not familiar with how this works. For families who've never heard of it, what exactly is salt therapy, and how does it work in the body?
Okay. So take away like the mystery of it. Who here, when you were a kid, somebody put you in the car and said, let's go to the beach, everyone's got a cough? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
I just was at a big event, and I, like a third of the people raised their hands. And I'm like, it's always like grandma or mom. Oh, she used to put us in the Studebaker and drive to the Jersey Shore. And so the reason is salt is healing, right? We know salt is anti-inflammatory. Do we all know that?
Yes.
Do we gargle with it? Do
Yes.
people shoot it up their nose and flush out their sinuses with it?
Yes.
So salt is antibacterial. It's anti-inflammatory. The word salt is the root of so many words that you know, like salary, because it used to be used to trade like gold. It was, valued like gold. So, so the way salt works in the body, the difference is when you nasal flush, you're only getting that neti pot or I like the Neil Med, you squeeze it.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I tell people, use it. Don't use it before you go to sleep. Don't use it within a couple hours of laying down because now you've got liquid sitting in your sinuses and things. Tilt your head up and finish. But so now you're getting that circulating your ears, your nose, right up to about here, your throat. It can't get in your lungs, right? It's water. Dry salt therapy is now, comes from the salt mines. So when the salt mine workers weren't sick like their peers, smoked like their peers, didn't have allergy symptoms, didn't have asthma, they kept in the 1800s, they went, why are these people not getting sick? So they sent sick people into the mines, and lo and behold, their symptoms were suspended, meaning their allergies weren't bothering them. So the research that's been done pretty much only over in Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, even Israel, they use all these treatments over there. The way it works is we have machines that grind pharmaceutical grade salt. And just because it's pure NaCl, it doesn't have, iodine or any of these other minerals that are heavy metals and could end up in your lungs. So it's just pure salt that you could make an injection with. That salt is ground into the finest microparticle, like a salt dust particle, 0.3 microns. It's blown into the room. So you can actually see and feel, I have video on my phone, of it looks like, into my video camera, it looks like a snowstorm. But when you're sitting there, it's just, you can start to taste salt in your lips. If you breathe in, you'll get a nice hit of salt. But breathing it for 45 minutes like we do in the room. We also have a booth where people can go to a speed treatment. That salt gets into your body. It liquefies mucus because salt, how it works is it attaches to water. That's what it does, right? You put salt on a little patch of water right here, it's going to absorb it all. Right. So it's drawing the water and it's getting into the tissues and liquefying mucus. So literally the basic is, have you ever had a cough where you're coughing and coughing and coughing and you finally get some out and you just need to lay down? That happened to me during COVID, the coughing and coughing. So when you thin out that mucus, you're literally able to expel the mucus. What it does in the sinuses, not just expelling and, helping clear the mucus, but it's anti-inflammatory. So it's going to shrink the tissues and literally open everything up. So, if your pathway is this big, a little tiny, hole that goes through your wherever, if you could just open up a tiny bit, a couple millimeters, you've done a lot. Percentage-wise, it's quite a bit. So people are more open. We can get more air in. We get that crud out of our bodies. And and it's also killing bacteria. Because salt is anti-inflammatory, open everything up. It's antibacterial and it's antimicrobial. So now it's killing, name the bacterium that people come in with, like Pseudomonas is one I hear a lot. I've had people clear pneumonia. So, and also we don't let people in sick, but people mostly come in post-cough. But when you come in for prevention or you come in with something viral, like a pneumococcal virus, you'd be amazed what we've seen people change their existence. I had a woman who did chelation. Yes. I mean, courses and courses of chelation, and a doctor on Palm Beach nothing was touching her, the pneumococcal virus, but it was gone 3 months after she started coming to us when they tested
amazing.
Her. So kills bacteria, opens everything up. We get more air in. It's killing bacteria and some viruses, not all, because microbes, part of the microbe definition is viral. But, you can't, there are some things that obviously nothing will kill. But generally, we get people with bronchiectasis. Mm-hmm. So because that's different, where there's like actual sagging of the skin and those little folds breed bacteria in them, what better than air to get in there, and it gets in the folds and helps kill the bacteria. I mean, we have people that have been coming in with like 3 and 4 weeks, that it's taking to clear a cough. And, they come in too late sometimes. Not too late, but, come in a week after you stop the thing, or you don't have a fever anymore, and start getting that the mucus cleared out. And then the last thing is, not the salt, the physical salt itself, but because when it's ground, it's creating negative ions. So negative ions are the happy ions. So when you think about, walking in nature, waterfalls crashing, that's all create thunderstorms where, how you talk about like the feel good, the energy that's, created by our weather. Negative ions are the happy ions. Positive ions are actually things like dust particles. So it's like the opposite of what you think. Negative ions are good. Positive ions are bad.
That's
and
ironic.
So, yeah. And when you get into, it's the whole negatively charged thing. But when you get into our rooms, people often say like, well, I feel really good because like I'm more open, but I just feel so relaxed. And like, that's the negative ions working on your body. And I haven't even gone into, after we opened the rooms and we had these wonderful salt caves, I started seeing like people would say, I have neuropathy or I have this. And I'm like, oh, what can we do for that? And I discovered PEMF, which is a magnetic fields therapy. So now, we put a mat in there. I've had it for 8 years. I just upgraded to a stronger mat. And magnetic fields, think the earth. When I have talked to other people before, like I always start by saying, do you get out in the sun? Do we get out? Do we, actually get out and let the sun touch our skin? Were we born in a cave? No. Yeah. Were we born wearing rubber shoes? No. We were born outside and nude because we can get the light. We were supposed to be collecting our own water. Like, don't get me started. We're living so out of sync with nature. So I just beg people, hospitals used to be built so you could roll the patient in and out. What do they do now? They lock them in there for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
And it's just, we're just so backwards in the way we're doing things. And with all the technology we have, we're still going on, a type of medicine that was, written about 100 years ago. Let's standardize. So all the doctors know what to do and they're doing the same thing. And I totally agree. There should be standardization. And then there should also be flexibility for, helping people in the myriad of ways that are out there. Because medicines, I've seen so much harm done to people from taking too much medication. So, looking for balance. I tell people, work with your doctor and also look into these things,
My grandmother almost made it to 100. And
Beautiful.
My grandmother, every time she just didn't feel good, or something, she was like coming up with something like, your body, you're tired and whatever. She would go, I will be right back. And she would go to the ocean, to the beach, and swim laps in the ocean and then come back.
Love
and
it.
Mind you, I lived in Puerto Rico where it's shark-infested beaches.
Wow.
I was like, is she nuts or what? But that salt, like you were saying, was so healthy for it. And I never understood, but now that you're explaining how important salt is for our bodies, it made a lot of sense. And she would come back and she was brand new person with no problems and she felt better the next day. So it makes a lot of sense. It's salt therapy.
Absolutely. And I beg people, like, go outside. I don't, if you're drinking your coffee or whatever you do, walk outside barefoot, touch the earth. If you can put a blanket on the ground, the earth's waves go through that. Unless you have a magnetic blocking blanket, don't use that. But sit on the ground, at least put a chair out there and put your feet on the earth, put your hands in the earth. My mother's a gardener. I can't think of anyone who's healthier. It's insane. She runs circles around me. I go to try to help her. I'm like, whoa, she already did it. And it's awesome. Because her hands are constantly in the earth. Yeah. Hours a day.
Nature.
So that's what we've done. And when you go into salt caves, right, not only do you have the salt blowing, but all the walls and floors are covered in salt. So it's essentially you're getting a grounding because salt is still earth, type of earth. So you're getting that grounding, by sitting in our rooms. The kids play with it. It's like a big sandbox. So they have a blast. And
That's
sometimes
awesome.
we have to wrangle them out of there. No, you got to go now.
That
So
is
how much
awesome.
time do they spend in there?
So it's 45 minutes, and whether you relax in the room or the kids play for 45 minutes, that's just how we run the session. So they start on the half hour and then end at quarter after.
Right.
That way we can run a session every hour. It's sort of become the protocol in salt therapy, and it's also called halotherapy. Halos is the Greek word for salt. So that's why you hear it called halotherapy. And then we also have a booth. So during COVID, people are like, oh, I don't want to sit in the room with other people. Okay, well, salt's killing even COVID. I can show you a video online where a scientist takes COVID in a petri dish, adds a little salt, and it dies. What happens is salt, because it absorbs water, because it draws water, a molecule, anything, any kind of bacterium, right? It has water as part of, just like us. You take away all of our water, bye. So you take away the bacterium's water, it can't reproduce now. It might be able to go in there and do a little damage, but it's going to die off faster and it's not going to be able to reproduce. So that's what salt does for the bacteria, et cetera. So we saw people with COVID, we have to, right? So people don't want to sit in the room with us. We have little dividers. So it's like a privacy. I have a lady who crochets in there, which I love. And then people read a book. Mostly they sleep. It's like the best nap ever. So we added a booth.
Very soothing.
I love it.
Relaxing, soothing.
Yeah. And then, during COVID, like I said, with a lot of people with COPD, I'd say, they were coming in every day. And I said, you can just come twice a week or 3 times a week if you want, because it's a time thing, and sit for a double. So you're like there, you come for the 9:30 session and you're there till 11:15. Believe me, number one, it flies by. The 45 minutes, people are sometimes upset. They're like, it's already over? I'm like, I know, it's, So.
It's like a massage. You never want it to be over.
You never want it to be over, exactly. Yeah. But so we added a booth. You guys can see it here. But essentially, think phone booth with a seat in it. And so we have people come and sit. And that's really only 10 minutes, but we run it twice and call it one session. So people get it's like sitting in the room for an hour and a half. So they say 45 minutes in the salt room is like 3 days on a sailboat. Wow. So that's what you're thinking about. Like, how is it? And so if you can get to the beach regularly, I have people, I live on the beach. Great. Open your doors.
Yeah.
Get
Breathe.
that in. Yeah. But you'll never get the level. And, especially with having, I'm a Florida girl. So I've been fighting, basal cell skin cancer since like my 30s. But, so I'm trying to stay out of so much sun. And God, please, can I say, use healthy sunscreen. Please stop using the chemicals in sunscreen. And get outside without the sunscreen, at least for some time. And of course, protect your face if you want to get it just on your skin. And only use the mineral type sunscreens because, something was outlawed, but they still let all these chemicals in sunscreens. And I'm not sure what's more toxic, the chemicals or getting too much sun and having basal cell skin cancer.
Yeah, that's true.
So please don't do that. So the booth is 20 minutes. The rooms are 45. And then the next level, because people said, okay, this is helping my neuropathies when I added the mat, which is the magnetic fields. Remember, doctors use all this stuff. This is what kills me. So, what doctor hasn't said flush with your sinuses with salt, okay? Red light, you know what they're using to treat macular degeneration, right? Red light. Oh, yeah. Wow. My stepfather just went, he goes, guess what they used at the eye doctor on me? Red light. Yeah, it turns around macular degeneration. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's the hottest thing right now.
So we added this 3 years ago, and I was using these panels not a little bit after that. But so we added a sauna. Why? Because now with the salt, we can help open up, get these breathing conditions under control, help the infections slow down, help people get off. I mean, people are on, the prednisone and the GABA are the two bad ones I see. They're really hard to get off. And so once they get to the mat and using the mat, what it does, the magnetic therapy, it helps circulation. So now we've got more air coming in, more oxygen. Let's move it and get it to where it needs to go. And it really helps people with neuropathies. And that's probably one of the biggest things you see because, the medications we've taken, surgeries, injuries, all lead to damage of our nerves, and that leads to neuropathies. And so that's why the mat's been hugely powerful. But then the next level, people are like detoxing, the pain that they still have. So we added the infrared sauna because infrared, without, in the old type of sauna, you had to go 220 degrees. Now, I mean, we've all probably been in one where you throw the water on the rocks, which is cool. But infrared the waves go through your body, so you don't, deeper penetrate. The other ones are just the hot air has to heat you. So this infrared technology heats you from the inside, basically. So you only have to have the sauna at about 120, and believe me, you sweat your butt off. It's great. Then we have a lot of people who are like, I don't want to sweat and do all that. But just sitting in the sauna, we don't. Yes, right. A lot of people don't want to sweat, so we go. Because it's like working out. When you get in a sauna, it's affecting your heart and all your body systems just like you worked out. I'm not saying don't work out, But do we have people out there who can't work out?
Right.
Think
Yes,
about
of course.
anybody in a wheelchair on a walker. I'm like, and believe me, I'm not shy. I've helped many people buy these things. It does not financially benefit me. But if you can afford this and put it in your house, please, when you can get in there all the time, or if you have somebody who can't get to me, that's when we have to look into what can we put in their homes. I can turn you on to a salt box
Well,
for your house.
I have a shower, a pretty big shower, and I have a steam shower. It's a sauna. And I have eucalyptus from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I take it every single morning. And
Oh,
every
that's-
single
you
night
do the
before I
steam
go to
shower?
bed, I
For
do
you.
the steam shower.
Good for you.
So I have a shower with 2 heads, shower heads, and my sauna. It was the best thing I could have ever done for me. I just absolutely love it.
See, so you know the benefits.
Oh,
And-
yeah,
And
for
by the way,
sure.
you know, all this stuff, you know, again, seasonal affective disorder, SAD. Know anybody with it? Red light. That's what you do when you're up north and it's gray. It doesn't happen here that often, but we still have people here that have that.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
just a one gray day will take people down.
Oh, yeah, take
So-
me down.
Yeah. So, and you know, my $9,000 sauna with, you know, the big red light panel, it's a 2-person sauna. It's huge. It's expensive. You know, maybe you can't do something like that. But what you can do is have something like this. I sell these for $350. It's an infrared panel. So what the sauna has is far infrared. That is what heats you. This has the near infrared. That's the one that penetrates almost down to the bone. This goes down deep into your body and it's healing tissue. And that's what I was getting to with the sauna. The reason we added that is because now we got the air moving, circulation, more oxygenation, the circulation from the mat. Now we're helping heal your actual mitochondria because sauna kills free radicals and helps your cells be the best they can be. And so when we can get that level of healing, now people are more energized, they're sleeping better, they feel like a long-term healing. You know, salt can give you that too, but not if you have all these other things. Salt's not gonna, it's gonna help your, because it's anti-inflammatory, we breathe it in, salt gets into your circulation. Where does it go? Everywhere. So it helps inflammation. Like people have said, my knees don't hurt anymore, even though they came for their sinuses. So we want to keep that feeling going and add things like the red light, which can help people improve everything from their vision, their skin, their mood. So it's really an all-in-one solution. If I had double the space, I'd probably have some ozone therapy too or something. I'm trying.
Well, you know what
But
I
this
think?
is great.
You know what I think?
Portable.
It's amazing, you know, doing this as long as you have, and have put you on that category that I love, where when people come in, new people come in, that you can just say, tell me what's going on with you. Tell me why are you here and how do you find us? And being able to be that person who's going to guide them to say, look, let me tell you what the benefit of this and this and this and this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, I do work with, and I hear a lot of people, you know, ask for me, of course, which is nice because I've taken myself out of the business a lot. You know, I can go away for a couple weeks or whatever. I have staff. But I always do one-on-ones with people, and I'm there a lot more now because I find that when I'm not there, people are asking, you know, and also I'm working with people in the area. You know, I'm sending people to, you know, other practices, the ozone therapies, cryotherapy, naturopath doctors, some regular doctors too. You know, we've got a couple great, you know, Dr. Agarwal. I mean, he's a well-known cardiologist. He might be something big at Jupiter Medical Center now, but he sends people regularly to me and to another company in Jupiter that has the magnetic fields because he owns a magnetic fields mat himself. And so when people say, but I don't want to go on another medication, he says, well, try PEMF. And he says it to a lot of people because it is so helpful.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's great for your heart and all your circulation. Yeah, and I was going to say, there's one more thing that you didn't ask me. Does salt raise your blood pressure?
But you don't ingest it.
Right, but that's my answer. When we ingest salt, when we eat salt, like oh my God, McDonald's fries. Yeah, but okay, there's salt in everything.
I actually like Checkers fried.
Okay, all right.
Oh, they're
see?
the best fries ever.
Yeah, I mean, I will like my fried cheat at least twice a week. I'm probably eating some French fries. But when we eat it, first of all, the quality of the salt. You're getting wherever we go, hopefully at home we're putting some Celtic salt, Himalayan salt, the good quality. Why? Because there's salt. Iodized salt has salt and some iodine.
Iodine, yes, of course.
But what does salt have in the ground? Has depending on what ground you get it, from 70 to 90 minerals. So they take salt with all these beautiful minerals. I didn't even know they could do this. They strip it out so they can use that for other things. How do you do that? It kills me. So they strip it out, and then they take that salt and they put the iodine in it, and then you put it on your table. It fades as you that's not the way you absorb. I shouldn't say that because obviously it's done something, because it came out because people were not getting iodine. But the best way to get iodine is through foods, through any kind of food, food sources like kelp and things like that. But we don't eat, right? Americans don't eat so much. Salt, when you eat it, it's going to go and reabsorb like those miles and miles of your intestines. And if it's not a good quality salt, it could spike your blood pressure. When you breathe salt, and we're using the NaCl, the pharmaceutical grade, not with all those minerals, but when you breathe in, you will eat 3 times a day, maybe 5 if you're like me, snacker, But that's reabsorbing. When you breathe in and out. By the time you leave Salt Suite, you've already probably breathed out most of the salt that you breathed in, because we breathe in and out a zillion times, like how many times a minute?
Right.
So that's really the answer. And we know that salt was vilified. I mean, you guys know, right, that if you go back, there's studies that there was a study at Harvard, and the guys actually were paid to say that it wasn't sugar that was the problem, it was salt. And it's been totally uncovered, and it's all out in the open. And now it's so funny, you see all these doctors that are trying to convince people, it's sugar, stop with the sugar, And people still come in, they're like, but isn't salt bad for my blood pressure? I'm like, okay, let's start over.
Yes,
but of course, if you have hypertension, by the way, if you have like stage 4 cancer, if you have stage 4 kidney disease, or, a lot of like advanced things, we're not going to let you just, do all this stuff. You shouldn't be doing sauna. You should, even salt might help you feel better. And if you can tolerate, but some people
so
that are
someone with high
very
blood pressure should not be doing sauna.
Someone with high blood pressure, I'd say number 1, talk to your doctor. If you're already because probably they're medicated. So if they're medicated and still have high blood pressure, there's something else wrong. Mm-hmm. That's I'm just saying, most people that come in either have I have low blood pressure, and I know I have clients that come in that are on salt tablets. You would be surprised how many people have low blood pressure. I know it's not what you hear about. See?
I do.
So, and I have athletes that take salt tablets, young, kids in high school, because, they work out so much. So it's really great for most people like that. But if someone says, I have high blood pressure, I'm going to say, well, please talk to your doctor. No one salt therapy session is not going to put you over the top, but I love it. And thanks for letting me talk about the business, because of course it's, near and dear to me.
Tell us how they can get in touch with you.
Okay,
Because a lot of the listeners know that we are in Palm Beach, and you are in Palm Beach Gardens.
Yes. And you're in what, North Palm here?
Yeah.
We're on US 1. So real easy for me to get here. But we're on PGA Boulevard, just west of 95, right between 95 and the Turnpike. So we've been there 10 and a half years. It's 5510 PGA Boulevard. And I like to shout out to, because a lot of people know the other stores in my plaza, and they're like, oh, I go to Ideal Nutrition or Salute Market. I'm like, well, I'm right in between. Ideal Nutrition, Heavenly Foot Massage, La Masseria, Colors of Brazil, which is a little store right behind me. This gorgeous clothes.
Beautiful. I have a lot of beautiful Colors of Brazil clothes.
Do you? Okay, I forgot. We have someone in common.
Yes.
So call us. Most importantly, please make an appointment, and we can tell you, we're a fragrance-free facility, we're an infection-free facility, and we're going to tell you a couple things to make your visit more comfortable, especially if you're doing sauna or whatever. We need to give you some more, tips. So our number is 561-316-3105, 561-316-3105. We're also on MindBody, which is like an app where people can book. A lot of our members know about that, but maybe not regular people don't go on there necessarily. But call and get booked, because we can book up. We're open every day, 7 days a week. And like I said, if you need assistance, if you do have someone, you want to bring somebody who's a wheelchair or a walker or something, we can help you, with getting in and out, let us know you're coming. And then the wheelchairs will pull right up to the salt room door. And typically we're helping people from the wheelchair into their seat, which is very close. Mm-hmm. But, we're happy to help. That's what my staff is there for. And And but we want everyone to feel welcome and not feel like they're. I noticed that with not just older people. There's people in general like, oh, I'm a problem. Like I'm a pain. I got to do this, and people go, and that's what we're there for. We want, and I tell doctors that don't believe me or give me like, I'm like, send me your worst patient. Send me the person that you just can't give them the right drug. You just can't give them the right attention or treatment. And, that's really the people, because it's really the outliers that come to me, right? It's not the person who totally has faith in their doctor and doctors never steered me wrong. It's the person who's like, I'm tired of the medications. I've seen people go septic they're getting so much medication. I just don't understand. When you're on 7, 8, 10, you guys know, medication management, which is what you do a lot of, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
So
and we try to take people out of medication. We try to make sure that they're taking the right thing at the right time.
Absolutely. It's just about, it's a quality of life place. We've had people come in with oxygen tanks. And I always say not the big one that you pull, but the little one that's on your shoulder.
Yes.
Because usually that's the start. And they're like, I don't want to carry this thing around. So they'll bring it in. Then the next week they're leaving it in the car. And the next week they leave it home because they realize they're not relying on it anymore. I'm not going to say that anyone's going to stop using oxygen completely because, as it gets to that point, it's kind of hard to. But when you can, when you can back off and use those the least oxygen you can, you're going to be better for longer. And so we see that, with people over and over. So yeah, please, don't feel free to come in and try it. And it's half price the first time. So it's normally $45 a session. It's $22.50 your first visit. And, as we'll do some promotions or whatever and get people in. We have lots of parties and it's a great place. We have a mud party this weekend. Friday night.
That's so fun.
So if you guys, maybe you guys will come and we get to sample all of our fabulous products. And, you get to sample them and sample the treatments that we do.
Awesome.
She's going to come salt with me soon, I hope.
I do. Thank you so much, Jamie Gonzalez from the Salt Suite in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Thank you, Doris. One more time for joining us. We keep learning so much.
Yes.
And we would absolutely love if you guys, any of you that are listening, if you want us to talk about anything in our show, you want to come in our show and talk about it, email us at seniorcaremadesimplepodcast@gmail.com, seniorcaremadesimplepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Andrea Albertini. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.